5 New Year's resolutions for President Obama. Editor's note: Julian Lelizer is a professor of history and public affairs at Princeton University. He is the author of Jimmy Carter and Governing America, CNN. As millions of Americans think about how they can do better in 2014 through their New Year resolutions, President Obama might want to make a few of his own. Although it is true that the president has faced a hazardous political environment filled with Tea Party Republicans intent on obstructing every proposal and media that are often too willing to report dubious facts, Obama has not made his situation much easier for himself. In a number of areas, he might think about strategies that can improve his political standing and put him in a better position for the political fight over immigration, the budget, climate change, and foreign policies that loom ahead. Treat your Democrats well. President Obama has not taken enough care of Democrats on Capitol Hill. Throughout the year, Democrats have continued to express frustration with the White House for putting them into extraordinarily difficult political situations and sometimes leaving them to stand alone as they face the fallout. The name of Harry was reported the president to give his caucus any credit for helping him to get out of the jam with the healthcare website. I did communicate to him, Reid told the Hill, that there have been things done by the White House that improve the healthcare bill, and those fixes were suggested originally by my senator, and they got no credit for it. I thought that was improper. Last week, House Democrat John Lewis criticized the administration for not listening to the advice of civil rights regarding the federal bench in Georgia. This story fits a familiar pattern that has created ongoing tension with Capitol Hill since 2009. Obama needs to remember that his fate is closely tied to the Democrats on Capitol Hill. Reid and House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi should be his best friend, and he needs them to help him in his struggle with Republicans. Sweet the smooth stuff. There is considerable evidence that President Obama seems uninterested with detail. His major concern is the big picture, trying to find ways to achieve his long-term policy goals, whether that be a diplomatic solution to the nuclear buildup in the Middle East or achieving healthcare reform, without as much interest in the nitty-gritty of policies. It is true that any president needs to keep his eye on the big picture in order to avoid the fate of President Jimmy Carter, who becomes so mired in the minutiae of he the through crisis. But as former Secretary of State Colin Powell says in his famous presentation about leadership, check the smoothing, the devil is in the details. Sometimes the solution to a sticky problem too. Don't spread the smooth stuff, but don't ignore it either. The dangers of President Obama's approach become apparent with the rollout of healthcare reform, in which the president and his team were not on top of the details of implementation in the weeks leading up to the launch of the website, and they allowed technical mistakes to turn into a huge political fiasco. The continued delays of implementing other parts of the program have also caused huge embarrassment and overfodder to his political enemies. The president can't afford for this to happen again. He will need to hold more of his accountable for the kind of mistake, bring in some fresh voices as he has gone with John Podesta, and getting rid of those who have made huge mistakes. He needs to realize that making sure that the small stuff is in order is essential to big achievement. Control the conversation. For a president who is as professional as Barack Obama, it is difficult to accept the harsh reality of the media world within which Washington operates. It is an environment where superiors, formation, and political rhetoric appear as fact. The blogosphere makes it difficult for producers and editors to control the flow of information, while the plethora of partisan reporting and commentary makes it nearly impossible for consumers of the news to separate fakes from fiction. President Obama's outlook has been bad and allowed the truth to find its way to surface. He has maintained a steadfast determination that given the facts, Americans will reach the right decision. But in our political world, this just doesn't happen. The result has been that his opponents have been remarkably effective at shaping the national over pop. President Obama has been forced to constantly play defense, to explain his failures, and to dig himself out of holes rather than spending time talking about what he has done and what else he hopes to accomplish. Re-energize the grassroots. When Obama started on his road to the White House, he thrived on the energy and support he received from the average Americans who were inspired by his core for a new politics and determination to have a campaign that was built from the bottom up. The local networks of campaign supporters spread a word about who his candidate was while raising money and motivating voters to line up behind his campaign. The enthusiasm and energy of his grace. Their supporters have grown weak. Many of his supporters have become disillusioned with a president who seemed far too much like other politicians and who abandoned some of his key promises in areas like national security. The revelations about the NSA surveillance program were a huge blow to those constituencies. This is not to vote with younger Americans once enamored with the president, but how disillusioned by broken promises on issues such as civil liberties and a still difficult economy, with the 2014 midterm as a focal point. The president should get back to communicating with grassroots to Americans and of his size. Some of the issues they feel have been sidetracked in the past few years. Focus, focus, focus. Over the past year, the president has frequently moved from one subject to another without a clear reason. One of the few areas where a president has control is over his or her own agenda. During the president's first few years, he had a laser-like focus on healthcare, financial reform, and the economy. On foreign policy, he spoke to the world about improving Americans' relations overseas. That kind of focus, however, has largely disappeared. President Obama has delivered a speech on equality, but quickly moved on to other issues that rather than follow through. Throughout the battles over the budget, the president turned from one crisis to the next without stopping and really putting forth a clear vision and set of priorities in response to the austerity zeal of the GOP. He has allowed his opponents to define the agenda as opposed to the White House. Even when Secretary of State John Kerry moved aggressively to put into place diplomatic solutions to nuclear trade, President Obama seemed to follow his lead rather than outline this as a priority in foreign affairs. Obama would do to a few subjects to articulate the direction he hopes to take the nation and move forward methodically to make sure they come to fruition. Resolutions are easy to make but difficult to follow. In the world of politics, the stakes of sticking with those promises are big. Given the tremendous difficulties that his president has faced and the desired approval ratings he is seeing, it is time for President Obama to double down and make certain that he does everything possible to put himself in a position to strengthen his presidency, his party, and his nation in his final house.